You packed your tent, your snacks, and your friends. But you forgot to prepare for what was already out there. A child crying in the river. A lantern that moves by itself. A voice outside your tent that sounds just like your best friend. But it is not. These are not urban legends. These are real, terrifying stories from people who went camping and came back changed. If they came back at all. Watch till the end because the final story is not just scary. It might follow you home. Ethan and Marcus were best friends. They planned a weekend camping trip deep in the Pine Ridge forest. No cell signal. No nearby trails. Just silence and trees. By day the forest was peaceful. Sunlight filtered through the branches. Birds sang above them. The air smelled of pine and damp earth. They pitched their tent by a small clearing. Lit a fire. Told dumb jokes. Laughed loudly. That night the forest changed. The wind died down. The fire crackled too loud. And there were no night sounds. No crickets. No owls. Nothing. Then around midnight, a light appeared. A small, flickering lantern, glowing faintly between the trees. It swayed gently, as if someone held it. But no footsteps. No sound of movement. Is someone out there? Ethan called. No reply. Just the lantern, drifting closer. Marcus grabbed a flashlight, swung the beam toward it. But when the light touched the lantern, it vanished. Not faded. Not flickered. Gone. They laughed it off. Blamed it on exhaustion. Crawled into their tent. At 3:03 a.m., Ethan woke up. A soft rustling just outside the tent. Then, a whisper. Oh, slow. Repeating his name. He held his breath. Turned toward Marcus. His sleeping bag was empty. He unzipped the tent. Stepped out barefoot. The forest was pitch black. But 20 feet ahead, the lantern was back. This time it was still. Resting on the ground. Next to it, Marcus. Standing. Back turned. Completely still. Marcus. Ethan whispered. No answer. He stepped forward. Leaves cracked beneath his feet. Marcus turned his head slowly, but not his body. His eyes were wide. Mouth half open. Do not blow it out, he said. Ethan stopped. What? Marcus shook his head slightly. Then looked past Ethan. Ethan turned. A figure stood behind him. Tall. Wrapped in bark. Branches curled around its limbs like veins. Its face. No face. Only rough, wet wood. Ethan ran. Did not look back. He tripped once. Got up with a bloody knee. Found the car. Locked the doors. At dawn a ranger found him. Shivering. Mumbling. They searched for Marcus. All they found was a burned-out lantern. And his boots, standing upright in the dirt, filled with leaves. The area was sealed off after that. Locals call it the Whisper Clearing. No one camps there anymore. But some hikers say, if you go deep enough into the woods, you will still see a lantern, flickering, waiting, and if you blow it out, you never come back. Alex and Jenna were married for 3 years. To escape city noise, they chose a remote riverside campground for the weekend. No neighbors, no traffic, just running water and woods thick with fog. Their tent sat close to the riverbank. They cooked over a small stove, talked about the stars, and slept to the sound of rushing water. The second night, Jenna heard crying. A faint whimper, like a child, carried on the water. She nudged Alex. He heard it too. It came and went, never closer, never louder. They thought it might be someone upstream. A family. A lost hiker. But in the morning, no footprints. No camps. Just the sound of the river, and a pair of small muddy handprints. On the outside of their tent. That night, the crying returned. Closer. Clear. Alex grabbed a flashlight and followed it. Jenna stayed behind. She watched the beam bounce between trees, until it stopped, by the river's edge. Then, nothing. The light went out. The crying stopped. She waited, called for him. No answer. 10 minutes, then 20, then footsteps. Alex stepped into the light of the fire. His face was pale, his shirt soaked. She ran to him, asked where he went. He said, she was in the water. Jenna blinked. Who? The girl. She asked me to help her. His voice was low, flat. You are soaking, she said. I went in. I grabbed her arm. But it broke off. It was just bone. He sat down, shaking. Could not stop staring at his hands. She tried to laugh it off. Tried to convince him it was a dream. Sleep deprivation. But she saw his arms. Scratches. Like claws had tried to pull him under. The next morning, they left. never looked back. 2 years later, a missing persons report surfaced. A girl, last seen near that river in 1998. 10 years old. They never found her body. Only a shoe. And a trail of small muddy footprints, leading back into the water. Some nights, campers still hear her, crying softly, just beyond the current. If you go near, you might see her, kneeling in the shallows, face hidden, hair soaked, and if you call out, she turns. Her mouth stretches too wide, too long, and the crying never stops. For friends, Liam, Brooke, Ty, and Rachel, went hiking in Bear Hollow Forest. They were experienced campers, confident, prepared. But Bear Hollow was not like other parks. It was older, wilder. No marked trails beyond the main path. Locals warned them to stay near the road. They laughed it off. Set up camp near a broken watchtower, deep in the woods. The first night was uneventful. They drank, joked, listened to music. At midnight they all went to sleep. In the morning, Ty's tent was empty. His shoes were still inside. Phone, keys, jacket, untouched. No blood. No drag marks. Just one set of footprints leading away. And then, they stopped. As if he had vanished into thin air. They searched for hours. Shouted until their throats hurt. No answer. That night the remaining 3 stayed in one tent. Too afraid to separate. Around 2 a.m., they heard footsteps. Slow. Crunching leaves outside the tent. Then a voice. Sounded like Ty. Guys, I'm cold. Let me in. Brooke moved to unzip the tent. But Liam grabbed her hand. That does not sound like him, he whispered. The voice came again. Closer. Lower. Let me in. I found something. Rachel started crying. Then silence. They waited. Did not sleep. At sunrise they stepped outside. No one was there. But on the other side of the clearing, another tent. Identical to theirs. Same brand. Same color. They had not brought a second tent. Liam approached it slowly. Called out. No answer. He unzipped it. Inside, a small pile of bones. Cling. Arranged neatly on the sleeping bag. And under them, Ty's watch. It was still ticking. The 3 of them left immediately. They never spoke about what happened again. But Liam never deleted the photo he took. The one showing their camp setup from the first night. He looked at it months later. There were only 4 of them. One tent. But in the photo, behind a tree, a 5th shadow. Tall. Watching. And beside it, an outline of a second tent. That had not been there before. Some say Bear Hollow grows its own campers. One by one. Tent by tent. And when you hear a voice asking to come in, you're already too late. That shadow, the one in the photo, was not standing. It was crouched. Hands on the ground. Its face turned sideways. Almost smiling. Too many teeth. Brooke deleted the picture. Rachel moved out of state. Liam never camped again. But he never forgot. A year later, he got a letter. No return address. Inside, a single photograph. It was the same camp. The same trees. But now, 5 tents. Each zipped shut. Except one. The flap was open. Just enough to see inside. There was no sleeping bag. No gear. Just an open mouth. Stretching up from the ground. As if the earth itself was trying to swallow something whole. Underneath the photo, a handwritten note. Next time bring more friends. Some forests do not want you to leave. They want to keep collecting. One camper at a time. One tent at a time. So if you ever hear a familiar voice in the woods, calling you back, even if it sounds like your friend, do not unzip the tent. Because once it gets in, you will not get out. Camping is supposed to be peaceful. A place to disconnect. To breathe fresh air. To be free. But sometimes, you are not the only one out there. Sometimes the woods are watching. Waiting. A baby's cry by the river. A lantern that flickers without fire. A tent that was never yours. These were not tales told around a campfire. They were real. Witnessed. Survived barely. So before your next trip, before you wander too deep, ask yourself, what will you do when you see a light between the trees? Will you follow it? Will you answer the voice that sounds like someone you love? Because in the woods, not everything wants you to leave. And not everything wants you to live. Turn off the monitor. Zip up the tent. And never ever answer a voice that comes after dark.